everyone, this is Candace from Happy Catastrophe, Sister Minbao for those of you in the Buddhist sector, and I just wanted to show you this. Look at this. It's my sage and it's blooming. Is that not gorgeous? That is just stunning. And look, there's Jack, and Jack loves the sage as well. Oh, it smells delicious here in my herb garden, and I want to thank you for joining me today. Hello, and welcome to a bright sunny day at Crow Cabin here. I'm Candace from Happy Catastrophe, and this is our favorite video of the month, finished pages, and boy, do I have a few. So let's get started. So here we have my handy dandy coloring journal, which I will be switching to a new one because this one is kind of full for the next half of the year. And this is what I tend to do. I always do a recap of the month. I often do start off with a list of hashtags, like you'll see them like right here, hashtags that I want to participate in. But this month I solely focused on Mermaid. So there wasn't much of hashtags. There wasn't much of anything else done other than Mermaid. But I had a few things I participated in. So this is what I did. And let's look at the totals here. So my totals were... I did 5 YouTube videos, which is a little low for me. It was just a busy month. My YouTube subscribers are over 500. I was shocked when I checked those numbers. I love all of you so much. How wonderful. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. And then I always aim to do 10 total pages, and I did 10. And then at the last long Memorial Day weekend, I busted out 3 more. So I did 13, which I'm really proud of. And I got out of new books, meaning I've never colored, they're not necessarily new, but I've just never colored a page in that book, 6 of them. So 6 of the 13 were new books, which is great. I try to aim for 50%. There was one month where I did only new books, and that was a lot of fun too. So I might do that again. I destashed one book. Again, I am going through and getting rid of the AI and the Shutterstock image books. They're just not appealing to me. The AI, I also have some ethical reasoning behind that, but I also just don't like them. So my coloring tastes have changed, as everyone's do. And so it's not all AI, but every now and then there's this one that's just boring to me now, and I'll just never color in it. So we have a little free give and take kind of little spot in the local post office. I live out in the country in the woods, and it's and so I put them down there, and they're gone in a heartbeat. So obviously we have more adult colorists up here in this community. And then my total, I added 6 books. Yes, I did. And so my total books are over 100 now, 104. It's the first time I've gone over 100. I tried to keep them under 100. I know that's impossible, but I did manage to keep them under 100 for a while. I just feel like 100 books is enough. I should have plenty to color in 100 books, but then, you know, a new Mythagoria comes out, or Mythographic, which there's a ton of those, the new Kirby. I mean, there's just so much. So I will be destashing more though, because there are more in my collection that I'm just not touching. All right. Oops, I always do that. I'm going to leave this open so that I can get on with our books and look at my notes. And we're going to start right off the bat with mermaids. And yes, it is super bright today. We don't often have bright days here in the woods of Oregon. And look at that, we have one. So I had a lot of fun. Oh my gosh, so I just had a huge brain fart. I pulled out the Mermaids book from Denise Klett, and that was not what I colored in this month. That was one of the ones I purchased. So I had fun this month looking in non-mermaid books, finding mermaid pictures. And that was a big joy of mine. I was having a good time doing that. So Denise Klitt is a new find for me. She's a certified Disney artist, so she does a lot of high-end Disney art. And if you go to her YouTube site or her Instagram site and her website, it's just gorgeous. She creates fine art for Disney, and in the form of prints and limited prints, and you can purchase them. She also does these. So she has gnomes in the neighborhood and mermaids in paradise and fairies in dreamland. And then she has the new bird one. And I don't have that one, but that is on my list because she has quickly become one of my top 3 artists. I absolutely love her. And I have so much fun coloring in her books. They are one-sided, so I can use my beloved alcohol ink. And so I went through this great book. I could be flipping while I'm talking. And there's just, the gnomes are hysterical. They're often big bosomed and chubby little things with huge noses and no mouths. I have watched one YouTube video where the YouTuber didn't like that they didn't have mouths. But I think they're hysterical. I just really, really love her style. And every single one of these pages I want to color. So I found the mermaids. There was, at the end of her books, she often introduces characters from other books. And so this is what I'm going to be doing, which is why this was in a different pile. But I did this one. So this is all done. It's very shadowy today, but hopefully I can keep you out of the shadows. This was all done with alcohol ink. My Copic and Spectrum Noir alcohol markers are my favorites. And then there's some sparkly stuff, mostly sparkle, like glitter gel pen on her hair and on her scales. But everything else, yeah, everything is alcohol ink on this one. Even the sky and the clouds. So let's do this. Maybe this will be easier. I wanted to make more kind of a suntan gnome. And so I worked on his tan and I gave him blonde hair instead of typical white. And then her, I had so much fun. She's just so beautiful already. It was really easy to color her. And I just, the pink and yellows just kind of came to me. I really like that for a combination. Now the clouds weren't there. This was just blue sky. I just created the clouds with my markers. And that's what I did. And I really, really enjoyed her. I thought that once I got done with this, I thought I'm going to color nothing but Denise Klitt because it was so much fun. It was so easy and fun. It only took a couple days, and just the paper is delicious for alcohol markers. So yeah, this is a fun book. I really, really enjoyed it. I am going to be continuing to coloring in this books. I think I'm going to work on the gnomes one in June. So yeah, if anybody has these books and wants to do, buddy, hit me up. But yeah, that's my first mermaid of Mermaid. All right, so my second mermaid in Mermaid was actually out of a mermaid's book, and that's Mermaids in Wonderland by Marcos Chin, who is such a delightful person. We interacted a bit back and forth on Instagram, and really a lovely person. And this book, I've done a full flip through of this book on the channel. It's I purchased it off of Amazon. I got it used for $3.99 from Bellwether Books on Amazon. So yeah, check it out. Check out those used ones. Every now and then you get a winner. So this one's a lot of fun. It's a little bit of a search and find. There's these keys you're supposed to be looking for, and they have letters in them. Here's one right here, has an N, and then there's a puzzle at the end of every chapter that you can figure out with the letters. I don't mind the keys in there because they're actually kind of add to the picture a bit. So the one I did, looking through this, I see so many more pages I want to do. This is one that I almost did. This is like a hairdresser. It's like an octopus hairdresser. Doesn't that look like fun? Daunting, but fun. So this is what I did. Now this picture is heavily edited, and I will insert a picture of what it looked like here. So as you can see, I took it to be Circus mermaids, and all that was there was the 3 mermaids hanging from that cloud-like structure. So I decided, when I looked at the picture, immediately in my head, I got the image of an actual circus. And I think I was kind of maybe influenced by a lot of the nightmare circusy type stuff books that are coming out. And I really just wanted to make it kind of a dark and dingy circus, kind of like a circus that travels a lot and maybe is underfunded. And this is their star attraction, are these mermaids. So this is this is gouache. This is my Hemi gouache, which I love. And I just painted it in I just mixed different levels of red and just painted it kind of in streaks to try to get that look of fabric. And then the background, I hand drew the lines so that they wouldn't be too perfect. And then I just used more gouache. This I used a warm white, but then when everything was dry, I took brown pencil and probably, I think it was my polychromos. Nope, it was my Black Widow. I used Black Widow pencils to give it that dingy brown look. Then the mermaids are all done in, sorry. They're based, I believe, in Crayola Super Tips, right? Just their tails. And then pencil over the top of that. And that's Black Widow pencil. And then I had some acrylic paint pen where I sharpened up the lines, put in this, the dripping water was already here, so I sort of added to that. I did make a hardwood floor. There you go. That was several layers of gouache, a layer then dried, a layer then dried, and just sort of spotted it on to make it like this dirty floor. And then hand drew the boards in with a very small paintbrush and gouache. So this is my circus mermaids. I really liked this picture a lot. I think this was my favorite for the month. It's coming out. Unfortunately, it's coming out of the binding. So I may eventually have to rebind this book because I love this book very much. And I had so much fun working with the shading, making sure that trying to get the shadows right. I tried to make them have like they had white painted faces. I did make their skins very pale. Yeah, I enjoyed this picture very much. One of the few rare ones where I had an image in my head of, I'm not good at looking at things that aren't there and imagining what could be. There are people like Spicy Cat Colors and Doodle Robots and Disney Meg that are better at that. I'm not very good at that. But this one I really had, oh, it's totally coming out. This one I had a vision. I totally saw this kind of dingy backwoods circus look. And old-timey circus. Oh, and I actually went on either Pinterest or just Google Images and looked up vintage circus pictures until I found a picture that was similar to this. I think I might have put different parts of a couple different pictures together, but I did use pictures as reference to get the curtains just right and the backdrop. So I hope you like that one. All right, now, and you're just going to be with me while the sun travels across the sky, because as you're seeing, the shadows keep changing, but this is all done in back to back. I may have to split my videos up and do them little by little as I can catch the sun. I'm in a cabin with really high windows way up there. These are the high windows, and I try to take advantage of that light, but it's crazy weather right now. All right, so in my third mermaid picture, again, looking for a book that wasn't traditionally mermaids, but finding a mermaid picture in it is my Korean Realm of the Gods book, which I did purchase on Book Depository. So I'm sorry, probably the only way to get this book now is through expensive Etsy. You've seen this one. This is the sort of book where they have their version of it, and then you can color your own. And I sort of copied that one for this. This was, you've seen this before. This was, I did a couple months ago and loved it so much. and I've been wanting to get back in this book. This was sort of the icebreaker for me. And this book is not difficult. I mean, the images are not too detailed. I can't wait to do this one. And the book takes paint very, very well. So I know it's not single-sided, but it takes paint. This was all paint and a lot of pencil in here, washi tape. So the book can take quite a bit. It's got great paper. What I did was Shinji here is a mermaid who, with a dispute with her father, was, of course, was turned into a mermaid. She was a young maiden. And now she's in Japanese harbors, and she blows ships with her breath. She blows them either into peril or away from peril. It kind of depends on her mood. So this is what I did. Now, Shinji is done in this here. Let's bring you in. This is watercolor pencils, Tim Holtz watercolor pencils. I tend to do clouds and water and sky with those watercolor pencils. They work so well. Now, I have had a request, a couple of them, to show how I use watercolor pencils, because it's a little different using them for makers who are using mixed media like Tim Holtz caters to than it is in coloring books. So there's he does demonstrate lots of different ways in he has a big long video, but the way that I do him is sort of buried in his video and it's easy to miss. So I'll do a little short video on how to use them best in coloring books so you can get the most pigment. But that's all the Tim Holtz, and I even believe the white is too. And then she's done in, I'm looking at my notes, these are Black Widow pencils with a Crayola Super Tip base. So that's how I got the smoother effect. I also used Gamsol to try to get that smooth effect. Now, I have a hard time with pencil marks. I'm not an adept pencil colorist. I'm okay, but I don't like that I can see marks, and I like things to be very smooth. That's why I like paint, because I like to put the marks in intentionally. I don't like it when marks are there that I don't want, that I can't get out because of the medium I'm using. So I tend to only use pencil when I need to, but I did use pencils for shading, and I really like the way she turned out. I had this image of an orange top. I had originally was going to washi tape it so it could be, patterned like this one is. But then when I got to having fun, I don't know, I was just in an orange mood. I just started using it and I really liked it just like that. So I decided to keep her more of a color blocked look rather than too busy, because I felt like there was a lot already going on. Although I do love their version. I think their version is stunning and very vintage and beautiful. Even the weird baby poop brown water is kind of cool. But I went a completely different direction. So where in my first picture in this book, I pretty much copied pretty closely what the artist had. This one I decided to go completely different. Plus I was in a really super colorful mermaid mood. As you'll notice, I think all my mermaids this month are really colorful, except for one. There's one. Yep, and that is Realm of the Gods. All right, then I veered a little bit away from mermaids, took a break, and I did a buddy color with my friend Tammy at Tammy Colors 2, and we both have this book, which is Deborah Muller's Color by Number Stained Glass, and it's a lot of fun. I've done a few in here, but this is the one I did with Tammy. I really wanted to do one that was peaceful. I think I chose this one, and I loved the lotus. Of course, I chose really vibrant colors because I was in a very vibrant color mood, which I normally am anyway. I did this wall, excuse me, frog in my throat. I did this patterned. I was so delighted that these were the colors that it was called for, because this is a color by number. It is, those are some of the results. It is very bright and vivid and fun. The color palette is here. So again, lots of bright colors. And I did this with alcohol markers because that's my favorite medium. And this paper takes it so well. And of course, I don't like it that you can see the numbers through. That always bothers me. But this was so therapeutic and fun. And I used to go to Vegas once or twice a year with my mother back when she was able to travel. And we would always stay at the Aria, and there's a spa there in the Aria that's like $15 to get in if you stay there. So we always would spend the day there, really cheap fun. And they had a Himalayan salt room that had a wall made of blocks of Himalayan salt, and it looked a lot like this. They were all different shades of yellows and oranges, and light was projected from the backside, and there was peaceful music. I spent many an hour sleeping in that room. It was wonderful. So this reminded me of really great times with my mom in Vegas when we used to travel. And then it did just remind me of a spa with the gentleness and peacefulness of the lotus flowers and the lily pads. I really had a good time with this one. And here is my friend Tammy's. And I commented when she told me about it, when she sent it to me, that they look quite a bit alike. And she's like, "You think?" I mean, it is a color by number. How different can they be? But we had a lot of fun. And we're going to be doing more out of this book because it is such a peaceful book. I've done a few in here, mostly just trying to play with different mediums and see what I liked out of it. And I'm having a good time. It's a really, really fun book. I'm glad I got it. It's very easy coloring. So yes. So that's my Zen Doodle color by number with Deborah Muller. Alrighty. So because I like to color the spooky, and I haven't colored in this book for a while, and it was one of the ones I went through, I thought I remembered a mermaid in here, and there are. So I went through this one. I love the shininess of this cover. Isn't that gorgeous? This is Fabiana Attanasio. She has another Mythagoria coming out this year. And I love this book. This is a really fun book. I did this one a while back. This is not this month's, but I've never shown it because I did it before I started my YouTube channel. So this is spooky. I probably should have warned people. This was back before I really understood adult coloring and was playing with mediums. It took me much longer than I should have because I did most of it in just pencil. I think it was mostly all pencil. And I don't like doing that. That takes too long. Although I like the finished, I believe this is all distressed ink background, but everything else is pencil. So, but I did enjoy it. I had fun trying to figure out how to color blood and all that. And I really wanted to make the swamp glowy. So that was one I did a while back. Then I didn't touch this again. So I went looking through it for a mermaid because I knew there was some underwater stuff, and I found one. Now, she's a dead mermaid, but I really wanted to do another spooky. I didn't want to do all sweet and cute mermaids all month long. So this is a very dark and fun picture. Let's see. It is all done alcohol ink, as you can see. Lots and lots of alcohol ink. Mostly Copics and Spectrum Noirs. Well, that's all I have. And then the shiny stuff is a mixture of shiny acrylics that I have. I think I took a copper and a gold and kind of put them together. And I went over the eel's spots with that and just a stripe along the swoops. And I added a lot more of the yellow in there. I added some more. And then I made everything else super dark around the edges. I wanted it to just be silhouetted. Like this was, first I was going for deep sea, but as I kept going, I'm like, this could be like space. It also could be volcanic, like magma. So I think it could be whatever you want. In fact, as I went on, I started thinking that this was a mermaid being born rather than a skeleton, rather than a mermaid that had been killed by these things, or a skeleton that was being guarded by them because it was a dead mermaid. And then I thought, well, maybe this is how mermaids are born. They're created in some magical deep sea, magma, lava, undersea volcanic type thing. And these are the creatures that are sent to guard them while they're being created. So that's a more positive spin to it rather than just a dead one. So I had a lot of fun playing with light and glowing in this one. This was one of my favorite pictures to do this month. It was just a treat. And I'm finding that every mythographic or mythogoria that I do, I end up feeling that way. I think it's because I'm using my favorite medium, and they're just so much fun, and they're so different from everything else. Every picture is a story that you can kind of dive into, and as you color it, and some of them are really busy, so it's kind of hard to figure out what's going on like that. But as you color it, woo, gruesome. But as you color it, you get into it and the story evolves. So that's my birth of a mermaid. A lot of fun. And that's out of Mythogoria Night Terrors by Fabiana Attanasio, the amazing Fabiana Attanasio. So, believe it or not, I actually have a couple of Kirby Rosanna's books that I've never touched. And I started a whip in this one last month and finished it this month. And I'm so excited. This is a great book, but I have not touched it at all, except for this. So this is what I started. Now, this one had a big story on Instagram, and many of you were the reason this picture is finished. It started on this side, and I had done all the rabbits. I actually did all the rabbits, and I wanted to do them in purple. And this is all done in Tim Holtz watercolor. And then there is some polychromos for the shading in here. But this is all those watercolor pencils. Now, I did the rabbits in this cool purple color, and then I did the sky. I don't know. I'm not sure what I did. But then I did the mushrooms, and I did them in this warm reddish brown, and it was terrible. And I posted it on Instagram like, this is awful. What did I just do? I just ruined this page. And what I had wanted was a night scene where the rabbits were running and the mushrooms were glowing. And so many of you, K Carrie in Instagram, especially coached me along and was like, keep going with it. Keep going with it. So I had to make a choice with the foliage, and I went with the warm tones that I'd already done the mushrooms in. I tried to change the mushrooms to a darker tones, but it didn't look right. And so I just kept the warmer tones. Then I did all this foliage, which, whoa, Kirby. Kirby likes his foliage. And it's got a little ghosty guy in there. I did it all with the watercolor pencils, and then went back in and did some deeper shading in the cracks and crevices so you could really see definition with the polychromos pencils. And I kind of got this done. And then I was like, I did this part of the, that's right, I did the sky kind of later. I did this part of the sky, but then I took a break. And when I went to go start the rest of the sky, I couldn't remember what this was. And it kind of came out a different blue. And that gave me the idea, what if I continued that and made it that the rabbits, because the rabbits are running from something, and I was going to make it into a forest fire, but I survived a forest fire a couple years ago here in the cabin, and it was terrifying. So I'm not ready to paint a forest fire yet. But these guys are running into the light. Maybe instead of running away from the dark, they're running into the daylight. So I decided to make it go from dark to day. And then that kind of worked. That kind of made the warm colors of the foliage work. And I toned down the light coming out of the mushrooms, like we're going into daylight now. I brought the mushrooms into more of a normal coloring where these are shadowed in the dark. And I really like the effect. This sky, I believe, is not Tim Holtz. I think this is, did I write it down? It might be just ink. And yeah, I think it's ink blended in with a little blender brush. But this, I definitely know that this is the watercolor pencils. And that was the finished whip. Now, I really like it. It's weird. I don't think the colors go well together. I don't think the color scheme works that well, but I don't know. The rabbits really pop out because they are so different from the foliage, which is kind of nice. I wanted them to, and I mean, really, seriously, the only plan I had for this was that the rabbits would be purple. I don't know. And I guess I started this in, yeah, I was going to do it for Easter, so it was in April. So it took me a couple months, largely because I was slightly discouraged. But thank you so much, everybody who kept me going, reminded me, that there's always ugly phases, and boy, this one was ugly all the way through. And I'm not sure it really got out of the ugly phase, but I do actually enjoy looking at it. So why not? I don't think there's any coloring of mine that I don't like. It's all learning, right? It's terrible. I think it's terrible. It makes me sad to hear people say they don't like what they did. And this is all a learning process. We're not putting these things up for sale. This is just our learning process. And we can look at this, and I'll always remember the process I went through, the struggle I went through to try to get this picture to work for me. And I like it. It's all right. And that was another new book. So thank you, Kirby, for this opportunity. You're such an amazing artist. And that's an Imagimorphia. All right. And then I thought, I need to take you on a journey in my new book. I did a big, long, hour-long flip through this, but it is 8 books. And so it's on the channel if you want to see that. This is Tatiana Bogema-Stolova's. It's her nice little town with the mice in it. The books 4 through 11. So it doesn't have the first 4, which don't have the mice in it. Although book 4 is kind of half and half, but then pretty much they're all mice from then on. And so if you don't have these books, this compilation, it's hardback, it's very heavy, it's a brick, it's very thick, it's very well done. I got off of Amazon for about $40 US, and I went through it online, but in a YouTube video you can find it in my playlist. But it's wonderful. I just love having all of this together. It does make choosing a picture hard, but I went through looking for Mermaid. Now the book Atlantis is in here. Not Atlantis, but yeah, I think she does call it Atlantis. It's the one where all the mice are underwater and they're mermaids. Yeah, it's this book. That book is included in here. I think that's book 8 or 9. So I went through that and found one. I found a bunch that I wanted to do, but I did this one. Now this one was a lot of experimentation, so it's a little funky. But I was trying different things because it was the first time I'd worked with this paper. Now this is Amazon paper, but it's the nicer paper. And it handled a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of this is water media. So I have alcohol markers, of course. Look, lots of alcohol markers. But then I did other things. This is all Tim Holtz watercolor, right? Sometimes I can't. Yep. This is all Tim Holtz watercolor, all this. So the sky, the water. Then there's some acrylic paint pen to make the bubbles. There's acrylic paint pen to outline things, to get rid of lines. There is some acrylic paint pen, down in there to outline stuff. I decided to get rid of a lot of the lines. So that's all done in acrylic paint pen. Then the rest of it, the watermarks, everything else, is Tim Holtz watercolor pencils on top of the alcohol base, the alcohol ink base. I had a lot of fun with this one. I had fun making this sunset. It got kind of away from me, but it was still a lot of fun. Yeah, this was just lots of colors, and I was trying different things, different techniques. So there isn't a lot of cohesion in this one, but I had a good time with it. I'm really looking forward to doing more pictures. So now I do have books 4 through 11, as well as some of the specialty ones. I have the Halloween one, which is my favorite. So if anybody wants to do a buddy color and I've got some room on my dance card, I'd love to do it in any of these books. And this one was sprayed with fixative. That's why it's a little bit shiny. I did not want those pens going anywhere on any other pages. So I spray all my pages though. I want to, because I don't want anything to fade. So yes, that is a little picture, my first one out of this book. Nice little Town Mouse collection, books 4 through 11, and you can find this on Amazon. All right, then we're on to Alien Worlds. We're stepping away from mermaids for a bit. Now, some of you saw my post on Instagram. I don't know what the connection is between me and this book. I don't even really like coloring aliens, but I got this book and I realized it's a story with his descriptions of every page, and you're the explorer, and it's a story where you're going to all these different planets and exploring, and it tells what the creatures, the flora and fauna are on those planets and what their specialties are and what they do. And I got it and I was like, there was so much work put into this, and it is so detailed. I mean, what? Yeah, it's a detailed book. And I realized Kirby may not make another book, and this might be his swan song, and it is absolutely stunning. Like, I can't imagine this much effort going into every coloring book an artist does. It would just take forever and wouldn't make any sense money-wise. So I just treasure it. It's just such a special book to me. And I decided that I wanted to do it from the very beginning through. And I also stopped looking at flip-throughs and didn't flip through my own book. I went through the first few pages and it just hit me how precious this book is. And I decided I wanted to be surprised. So I'm going to go on the journey with the astronaut. I'm going to be the astronaut. And so here I am in my ship embarking on my journey on the title page. So I did all this in Tim Holtz watercolors, which is my very, very favorite medium for Kirby books. Those two are just like peaches and cream. They work together so well. So it is I love using gouache and paint in Kirby's books because I can't use alcohol markers, but I think the gouache and paint work really well. But my very favorite is the Tim Holtz watercolor. So that's what all this is. That's probably what every picture will be, just because they're so easy for me. So this is a planet that I'm traveling to. And I did I did the Tim Holtz watercolors in these lights, these kind of like solar lights, but I did augment them with some glitter pens. And then this has been fixed, so it's a little shiny. And then I was like, let's keep going. So I did this one. This one took a while, surprisingly, because, you know, there isn't a lot to color on it. But I wanted to really make it look like control panels and that it was glowing a bit. So I mostly just, again, this is Tim Holtz watercolor pencils. And I mostly just used like 4 colors. I used a couple of blues, a red and a yellow, and I mixed them at times to make orange and green. And that's the entire page, actually. So I made it, I like the colors because they kind of reminded me of 70s retro. And I also did them along here to make it look like the lights were glowing off this metal, or lights from the stars are glowing. So the metal is all like a little bit of yellow and blue on the metal. And then the panels are all, and there's nothing else used on here but Tim Holtz watercolor pencils. There's no actual pencils. I was starting to have some tendonitis, and so I'm not able to do any colored pencils right now for a while. So it's just all watercolor. And the way I do it is I take the pencil and I dip the pencil in the end in a tub of water so it's wet. I take a paintbrush, dip it in water so it's wet, kind of wipe a little bit off because you don't want it too wet. And then I take the pigment off of the pencil with the paintbrush and paint it on. So I don't think of them as watercolor pencils. I think of them as pigment sticks. They're pure pigment, and I'm just getting them wet and putting them on the page. So it's like a paint stick. But I'll do a little demonstration of it with my next Kirby page because that's all I use in his books pretty much. Yeah, so now I'm flying, right? I'm in my ship. I've got my whole, it's like kind of got a 70s Star Trek looking look to it, vibe to it, with all my primary color rainbowy type screens here. And I'm heading out into space. So the next one I'm doing is this one. And I'll be doing these, just this title or information page and doing all these different planets. And I'm thinking maybe these are like samples of some of the planets that I'm going to be visiting. And there's like the top of my ship or something. So that'll be the next one I do. And then I'm not going ahead because I want to be surprised. I'm not looking ahead because I want to be surprised by the next planet I end up on. I want to be the explorer who lands on the planet and is exploring for the first time the creatures on that planet. I know, it's weird, isn't it? But I just have a visceral reaction to this book and a very emotional connection. So I don't know if anybody else is treating this book that way, but I'm just going through it. I feel like it's a journey. I feel like I'm getting to know Kirby a little bit more too, as this might be his last book. So it's very precious. Alien Worlds. Now, Alien Worlds was a new book for me. Several of these are, but this one is not. And now we're, again, not doing Mermaid. This is a group buddy color that we have. And this group is so much fun. If you have this book and want to join in, we color a page out of this every other month. And this is a lot of fun. And I will put down I always forget who the moderator of this group is, but I'll look it up and here's their information if you want to reach out to them and want to join us. This book is a lot of fun to do and modify. We've done quite a few pages in it, and I joined a little bit later, so that's this month, so I'll show you a couple others. There is just, you can do so much. This is one we did the last month we did it, and it's just heavily modified. None of these drinks were there, and that's what's fun. That's what we're having fun with this book, is modifying it. And so this is the page we did this time, and here's a picture of what it looked like before. And when I looked at this picture, I thought, those snails are on a highway. They're on a road. They're going different directions. So I couldn't get it out of my head, so that's what I made. So I put the road in with apple barrel black pavement acrylic paint. That's my favorite black. It's very matte and very solid and does not streak. It's like self-leveling or something, because I can paint it any which way and there's never a streak in it. And then I took some yellow acrylic and made the lines. Then all this is done. I believe I just used acrylic paint for this. Yep, it's all just acrylic paint that I have. Probably, I didn't even get out my one step up set. I think I just used Folk Heart and Apple Barrel. And then I got out some metallic acrylic paint to make their shells shiny, because I thought it needed a little something. And that was before I came up with the idea of the street signs, of the highway billboard signs. So I went online, and when I realized halfway through that these needed to be signposts and I wanted to put signs on. So I went online and Googled, vintage restaurant signs and pizza and Eat at Joe's. I just looked for images. Then I printed those images out. I used my Cricut and my design software with Cricut, but you could use anything. I printed it out the size I wanted it onto sticker paper. And then my Cricut machine cuts it out, but you can manually cut these things out. You don't need a Cricut to do this, but it was easy with a Cricut. And then the Cricut cut it out, and I just stuck them on there as stickers. So that's my kind of an evening scene of snails traveling on a lonely highway and all the things that they could get off at the next exit and have. And then I put the eyeballs were blank, so I put their pupils as if they're looking at all these different things. I had so much fun with this. And wait till you see, I'm going to put the rest of our group right here. And as you can see, they are absolutely wonderful. They're all so different, aren't they? This is a really great group. So if you have this book, this is a fun book, and you want to join us coloring it, it's every other month, no pressure. You don't have to do it. You can skip a month here and there. But we can take these pages and like paint over some things, add things, and everybody's using their creative juices to just change the page into something that other than it is. And it's been so much fun. This is Mid-Century Modern Animals by Jen Ski, and you can find this on Amazon. Now, my last book. This was a book that I won off of a random drawing for Crystal Colors. Crystal Colors had a drawing for her 2,000 subscribers. She had a giveaway, and somehow my luck, I just never win anything. I was shocked. And I won this amazing, beautiful book. I do have a flip through of this on the channel. It's under a Happy Mail haul. And I did, now this book was scary to me, but it is one-sided. So it's scary to me because it's so beautiful. And so what I probably should have done was use my medium of choice, alcohol markers. But it's so beautiful that I don't want this backside messed up from the alcohol markers, even though it's just blank. I mean, ridiculous, right? I've gotten over that, and I'm going to be using alcohol markers going forward. But I tried to use other mediums, and I came up with this. So she is my final mermaid of the month. I wanted to make her a very rich skin tone, like that of West Indies or something, of the Bahamas. I wanted her a really rich skin tone, and I had problems with my pencils. I tried a lot of different things here. I tried basing it in super tips. I tried not basing it. I tried using Gamsol. I tried just using blending with different. I had a hard time not having the marks. And I used polychromos, which are my favorite pencils because I don't have to push so hard with them. And this paper didn't really like the polychromos. They didn't behave like they normally behave. So I'm going to try, well, I'll probably just use alcohol markers going forward. But if I use pencils again, I think I'll try Black Widows because this is gorgeous paper, but it's very smooth. There's really no tooth at all. So Black Widows tend to like that kind of paper. So I'll try that. But I had a lot of fun coloring her. I loved making her hair. Her hair was a lot of fun, although I do get tired of hair towards the end, but I really liked it. I had fun making her shells. Again, this was almost all done in polychromos, except for me trying to find different ways to smooth out the coloring of her skin. It's all polychromos. Yeah. So my first page out of this beautiful book by Christine Caron, Queen of the Seven Seas. And she was my final mermaid. At least I think she's a mermaid. My final mermaid of Mermaid. But because I love undersea coloring and I love mermaids, you're going to see a lot more. Probably at least one a month because I do like coloring mermaids. Isn't that beautiful? Thank you so much, Crystal, for this. This book is really turning out to be something that's such a treasure. Such a treasure. And that's Wildflower Folk, which a lot of you have, by Christine Caron. So those are my completed pages for May. Wow, lots of them, lots of books. May was going very slow to begin with, and I was concerned I wasn't going to even get my 10 in, and yet I got 13, which is great. And a lot of books I hadn't touched before, and some of my favorites, like The Realm of the Gods. I'm very thankful for this book by Marcos Chin and Denise Klett. Oh my gosh. I'm going to do a video of just her books, doing a flip through of all of her books, just because I love them. And you can find them pretty affordable on Book Outlet. You can get Gnomes in the Neighborhood, and you can get Fairies in Dreamland. They've been there very cheaply, those two, on Book Outlet. So if you don't have those, check out Book Outlet. Anyway, thank you for joining me on this fantastic journey. I love you all, and I love seeing your pictures. And I'm watching all of your finished videos, and your coloring is amazing. So thank you all, and you all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.